Okay. We started last week the beginning of Parak 37 Lamed Zayin. On the top it's 92. At the bottom it's 168. Okay, so we just started a few lines, so we're going to start again from Parak Lamed Zayin. Okay, so the Rebbe was explaining in the 36th chapter that the purpose of creation was to create this dwelling place down here in the world. Dafke only, especially in the place of darkness. Because when the darkness is transformed to light, that's a uniqueness, and that's the great. And Hashem, the little bit of that revelation was already by Matan Torah, and therefore the bodies popped out of the body, and Hashem had to resurrect them. Bottom line is, Hashem says, the ultimate purpose of creation, of all the physical and the spiritual universe. Atzila is Bria, Yetzira, Asiya, higher than Atzila, all the spiritual realms were created, the Medrash says, because Dira B'Tachtenu. Not for Atzilus, the purpose of creation was not for Atzilus, because that's, Alter Rebbe said before, that's a descent, it's only a revelation. Where is the essence of Hashem revealed? Only in this world. When will it happen? When Mashiach comes. What is the Aved of the Jew? Transforming darkness to light. When you transform darkness to light in a way that you just don't dispel darkness. You know, we mentioned you have a dark room, okay? You go into the room, you turn on the light. Or as they say in yeshiva, you open the light. Okay, but you turn on the light. The room becomes lit up. But the darkness wasn't transformed to light. You walk out of the room, you turn off the light, the room's just as dark as it was before. All you did then was dispel darkness. When we do Torah mitzvahs in this world, this is what the Rebbe is going to say in Perek Lamed Zayin. When we do Torah mitzvahs in this world, we create the dwelling place for Hashem down here in this physical world. That's by transforming darkness to light. Not that we dispel darkness. In the days of Shlomo Melech, the Rebbe has my modem on this. In the days of Shlomo Melech, the whole world, or even Queen of Sheba, Malka Shva, the most distant places in the earth heard about Shlomo Melech. It was an unbelievable amount of light that actually went all around the world, the light of Kedusha. But the Rebbe explains in my modem, but it didn't make the world light. It was just light dispelled the darkness, but the darkness didn't become light. The Aveda of the Jew, of taking darkness and through Torah mitzvahs transforming it into light, we're actually not dispelling darkness. We're transforming darkness, that darkness becomes light. And the question is, how could we do that? If it's defined as darkness, it's already identified as darkness, how could it become light? If it's darkness, then it's not light. How can we make darkness into light? So that's the whole concept of Torah mitzvahs. Torah mitzvahs touch the core and the essence of Hashem, which is not restricted by definitions of light and dark. It's very difficult for us to understand this concept, but verbally we can understand it very well. Hashem has no limitations whatsoever. Hashem made light, Hashem made darkness. That means he's above both. If Hashem would be only light, he couldn't make darkness. If he would be darkness, he couldn't make light. How can Hashem make light and darkness? That's the same question. How can Hashem make spiritual and physical? If Hashem is spiritual, then he can't make physical. And not only that, if Hashem is only spiritual, then you're basically limiting Hashem that he's only physical and not spiritual. And you can't do that. Then you're limiting him. So what does that mean? It means very simply, Hashem is not spiritual. Hashem is not physical. Hashem is not light. Hashem is not dark. Hashem is above it all. And therefore, from Hashem's perspective, light and dark are coexisting. So you can make dark into light and you can make light into dark. It's not only dispelling darkness. Torah mitzvahs, where we're taking a physical object in a physical world of klipa, of evil, and we are transforming it to make it holy through a mitzvah. We make the physical object holy. We are actually taking darkness by tapping into a level of the essence of Hashem, which is above both. Darkness could become light. And here now in Perek Lamed Zayin, the Alter Rebbe says like this. Again, the first few lines we learned, but that's it. This ultimate purpose of creation, which is the days of Mashiach and ultimately Tchias Mesim, which is Gilui Erdin Tzav Baruch Hu B'Elam Hazeh Gashmi, which is the revelation of the essence of Hashem in this physical world. Toloi B'Ma'aseinu V'Avidaseinu Kozman Meshach HaGolus, is dependent on our action in the days of Golus. Why Golus? Very simple. Because Golus is darkness. What is the ultimate goal? Transforming darkness to light. So where is the primary avodah of Torah mitzvahs? Not in the time of the Beis Hamikdash. Over there was light. The ultimate goal of Torah mitzvahs is dafke only when it's dark, in a world of corruption, in a world of evil. And he says why? Because what is the cause? The reward of the mitzvah. Hi mitzvah atzma. And this is a very unique definition of what the Mishnah says in Pirkei Avos. Schar mitzvah mitzvah. The reward of a mitzvah is a mitzvah. Simply in Pirkei Avos, the commentaries explain, because the Mishnah right away says mitzvah is mitzvah. One mitzvah causes another mitzvah. So simply the definition of that Mishnah means the reward of a mitzvah is you're going to do another mitzvah. So you got double reward. And you keep going. The Alter Rebbe here and other places in Tanya, but here's where it begins. The Alter Rebbe says that's not what it means. It means much, much deeper than that. Schar mitzvah mitzvah means the reward of the mitzvah is the mitzvah. What does that mean? Mitzvah, as Alter Rebbe will explain, mitzvah means, the Zohar says, binding and connection. Binding and connection. Tzatza v'chibur. Binding and connection. When a Jew does a mitzvah, they are bound to the essence of Hashem. The Rebbe Rashab has an expression in his Maimorim, in his Siches, Kol ha-mitzvahs misyachsim el ha'atzmos. All mitzvahs are identified and connected to the essence of Hashem. Which now explains the Mishnah. When the Mishnah says 1 hour or 1 minute, whatever, of tshuva, ma'asim tovim ba'olam hazeh is better than the whole world to come. Why? And then the Mishnah says, and 1 minute of bliss in olam haba is greater than all of this world. So why do you reconcile? It's a paradox. It's not a paradox, this explains. When a person does a mitzvah in this world, what's olam haba? Olam haba, the Gemara says, tzadikim yeshvim b'atarasem b'Hashem v'nenim mizev hashchina. The Gemara says, tzadikim sit, the crowns are on their head, and they benefit from the ray of the Shekhinah. They're basking in the ray of godliness. Yeah, they're basking in it. Yeah, they get it. But it's only a ray of the Shekhinah. Ziv HaShekhinah means a ray of the Shekhinah. So if you're talking about revelation, yeah, Olam Haba is bliss more than this world because you're basking in godliness. The difference is, though, when you do a mitzvah in this world, You're connecting to the essence of Hashem, not the ray of the Shekhinah. You're connecting to the essence of Hashem. So what does schar mitzvah mean? Schar mitzvah means the reward of the mitzvah is the binding and connection that you became connected to the essence of Hashem. Therefore, it's interesting. In the non-Chassidic world, in the firm world, it's all about Olam Haba. We have to go to Olam Haba, and we have to learn to go to Olam Haba. We have to do mitzvahs to go to Olam Haba. In Chassidus, Olam Haba is secondary. It's a nice place, to visit after 120 years. But the emphasis, when you do a mitzvah in this world, and I'll tell you a little secret. Chassidus explains, especially when it's difficult to do the mitzvah. If the mitzvah is easy to do, then you're not breaking yourself. You're not transforming yourself to be connected to Hashem. You enjoy doing it. When it's difficult to do, it's darkness outside or inside, and you still break your nature and you do the mitzvah, you are being connected to the essence of Hashem, which is above the ray of the Shekhinah. And therefore, the Alter Rebbe says, what's going to cause this essential revelation of Dira B'Tachtenim that's going to happen by Mashiach and Tchias HaMeisim? He says the doing of the mitzvah. The mitzvah binds us to the essence of Hashem. The problem, so to speak, is we don't feel it yet. But it's, as the previous Rebbe, the Friedrich Rebbe writes in the Maimer, it's Munach B'Kufsa. It's in the box. It's there. We did it. It's in the trust fund. The trust fund will be open when Mashiach comes, Tchias HaMeisim. But we're doing it now. The world is not fit to see the revelation of the essence of Hashem, because that's what Mashiach is all about. But we reveal that essence of Hashem in the world when we do a mitzvah. And he says, why? Ki ba'asiyasa, 5 lines into the paragraph, into the chapter. Ki ba'asiyasa, because when a person does a mitzvah, mamshecha adam gilui erein self baruch hu, the person draws down this revelation of godliness, momaylo lamata, from higher to lower, leslabish begashmis elam hazeh, that now godliness is coming into this physical world, bedavid into something, shoyatchil etachas memshelas klipas noiga, that until the person did the mitzvah, this kosher object, this usable object, was under the jurisdiction of evil. Klipas noiga, the neutral evil, but it's still evil. Umekabel chayusa mimene, and it gets its sustenance from evil. Shem kol dvarim ataherim, which refers to all the pure things, umetarim, and the permissible things. Shenasa mitzvah ma'asir, that you do the physical mitzvah with. Because this object was kosher, it's allowed, it's permissible, and now you're doing a mitzvah with it. Like he says, Kalafa, tefillin, and mezuzah of Sefer Torah, like the parchment of tefillin, mezuzah of Sefer Torah. K'maymer azal, like the Gemara learns out from a pasuk, leihochshe lemleches shamayim, what was allowed for heavenly things, meaning, especially according to all opinions, Sefer Torah, tefillin, and mezuzahs, teherim umutarim befichav, and kosher animals. There's a din, and there's an argument in the Rishonim if it applies to all mitzvahs or not. Then there's another argument if it applies to rabbinic mitzvahs. But everybody says, because we learn it out from the pasuk, the pasuk says, when it speaks about tefillin and mezuzahs, it says, L'mantia Torahs Hashem beficha. The Torah of Hashem should be in your mouth. What does that mean? In reference to writing tefillin and so the Gemara says, Sefer Torah, tefillin, and mezuzahs have to be min hamutarim beficha. It has to be from kosher animals, not necessarily slaughtered. But you can't write tefillin on pig skin, horse skin, camel skin. It has to be from a kosher animal, min hamutarim beficha. Because then it's kosher. But if somebody uses tefillin from a treifa animal, which is not elevatable, it's bound to evil, you're not doing a mitzvah. Or as Alter Rebbe will say in the parentheses, if somebody does a mitzvah through an Aveda, somebody steals money and gives it to tzedakah. Somebody steals a lulav and does lulav and esrog with it. It's mitzvah bo b'Aveda. And Alter Rebbe says, not here, but in Shchunar, Alter Rebbe says that it's not ain't a mitzvah cloud. In Shchunar, many places, Alter Rebbe says a mitzvah that comes to a sin is not a mitzvah at all. But here the Alter Rebbe is saying, what happens when a person does a mitzvah? They're taking objects which were under the jurisdiction of Klippa, granted Klippa's Nega, and now you're elevating it to Kedusha. What do you mean elevating to Kedusha? You are bringing down, and I'll explain what that means in a second, because you have to understand it so it's easily understood for what we accomplish when we do a mitzvah. When a Jew does a mitzvah, they bring down this level of godliness down into the physical object. By the way, one of the unique things about Chassidus, Tzemach Tzedek says in Derech Mitzvah, is lahavshet hadvar migashmiyusam. Part of the way of understanding godliness is by removing it from the physicality of it. When you say bring down godliness, what do you think? It's up there and you take a thing and you pull it down, you schlep it down. Oh, come on. I mean, that's very physical. It means very simple. Hashem is all over equally. Hashem is all over. There isn't a place he doesn't exist. What's the difference between holy places and non-holy places? In holy places, Hashem is revealed. In non-holy places, Hashem is concealed. We don't see him. He's there. If I hide behind the door, I'm still there. I'm only hidden from you. I'm not hidden from myself. Hashem is all over. But in this world, which is evil, godliness is concealed. But he's here. What happens when a person does a mitzvah? They take the evil, okay, the klipa, which means the peel that covers godliness, and you remove it. So what happens? Godliness is automatically revealed. Bringing down godliness doesn't mean, it's up there in four stories high in Atzilus, and then you take the elevator down and you bring godliness down. That's childish. It means God is all over, but he's hidden. What's the avodah of the Jew? Torah mitzvahs reveals godliness by removing the concealment. You take the klipa, the shell. Yes, klipa snaiga, the permissible shell. But you remove the shell by doing a mitzvah with it, making a brach on it, eating it for the sake of whatever. So what you do is you remove the concealment of godliness. That's what the revelation of godliness means. When this sefer is holy, is because this sefer was used for godliness. So the covering of evil was removed, and Hashem could reveal himself in that book. Therefore, if it falls on the floor, you have to kiss it. You're not allowed to take it into the bathroom. Do we see it? I can speak about me, and I'm pretty sure I can speak about me, and you don't see it. Tzaddikim see it. Rebbe see it. Rebbe see the Kedusha which is brought down. We will all see it when Mashiach comes. So now the Rebbe says the whole Aveda of Tachlis Hashlemus Atzah Yemesa Mashiach, the ultimate revelation of godliness, by Tchis HaMesim, is dependent on what we do. Because when a person does a mitzvah, they're connecting to the essence of Hashem, not ray of the Shechin of Gan Eden. Like we said, therefore, by Chassidus, Gan Eden, I told you, it's a nice place to visit. But a mitzvah is much greater than Gan Eden. A mitzvah, you're connected to the essence of Hashem. And therefore, if we're bringing down that essential level of God, we don't see it yet because our eyes are closed. But in the world, godliness is revealed. Mashiach will come, we'll all see it. Now, like we said, it's in the trust fund. Or he says, Umoy tzedakah, 2 lines from the end of the page. Umoy tzedakah, or money of tzedakah. She'enam gezel, which is not stolen or created by him, similar things. And then the Rebbe says, because if you take an esrig of Arla, or chen esrig she'eno Arla, the first 3 years you're not allowed to benefit from the fruits of the tree. So if somebody uses an esrig that's not forbidden, because if be Arla, he says, the Rebbe says in the parentheses, then it's total evil. You can't elevate it. Or mitzvah above Aveda. Any mitzvah comes from Aveda is not a mitzvah because you can't elevate the evil that you did. So he says, the life that's in the physical kosher object that you're using for the mitzvah, oila becomes elevated. Again, what does it mean elevated? It doesn't go up in an elevator. It removes the concealment, and it becomes completely nullified to godliness. And it becomes part of the essence of Hashem. Because the will of Hashem is in the mitzvah. Again, Hashem is here, there's a covering of evil. But when a person takes that object and reveals godliness in it by showing that this object in essence is godliness, I'm elevating it to a stage of godliness, I'm removing the cover, so that is bringing down the essence of Hashem. So therefore, the ultimate purpose of creation, is Tchias HaMesim. What is going to cause Tchias HaMesim to happen? What is going to cause this resurrection that is the ultimate essential essence of God revealed in the world? Our actions, because our actions, schar mitzvah, the reward of the mitzvah is binding yourself to the essence of Hashem. So a person has to understand this, by the way. If you think about it, the accomplishment that a person does when he do I don't want to use the word lousy, easy mitzvah, but a person does a small little mitzvah, because like we said, it doesn't matter what the mitzvah is, you're doing the will of Hashem. And that will of Hashem is connecting you to the essence. So, we all have Yetzer Haras, we know that. But if you think about it, why in the world would I want to do something foolish, like enjoyment of life against Torah, if through this one little action can cause me to be connected to the essence of Hashem? And a person shouldn't be foolish with that, so to speak. The chen koyach, not only that. The chen koyach nefesh achiyunis habamas. The same thing. Not only do we elevate the physical object, but the animal soul within us. Shebeivari gufa adam, which are in the limbs of the person, like the nefesh habamas, which gives us sustenance. Hamekayim mitzvah, that does the mitzvah. Umislabish gamkim basiyazu. If I put on tefillin, I light Shabbos candles, I do lulav and esrog, or I eat properly, that power I'm getting from my animal soul, right? Unless you're a tzaddik, we live from the animal soul. So now we're living from the animal soul. We're getting the power from the animal soul to shake the lulav, to light the Shabbos candles, to do any other mitzvah, or to eat properly for the right purposes. So not only am I elevating the object that I'm doing the mitzvah with, my animal soul is being now connected to Hashem. He says, Gamke is also ba'ela me'aklipa, because the nefesh habamis of the Jew comes from klipas neg, also klipa. V'nechlo b'kedushas hamitzvah, and now it becomes an animal soul of the Jew, becomes bound with the mikdusha of the mitzvah, which is v'tzeina yizbar, the will of Hashem, ubatul berin tabach, and the body is batul to Hashem. Meaning, when any one of us do a mitzvah, we're elevating the object. What does it mean, elevating the object? We're removing the godly concealment that Hashem covers himself because the world is evil, and we don't see godliness. I'm doing a mitzvah, that object, and now I'm peeling it, so to speak. I'm taking off the evil and I'm revealing the fruit. Then now the Rebbe says even more. It's not only the object. Our own animal soul, which also by a Jew comes from Klipas Nega, from the neutral level of evil, is also because he is the one doing, or she, whatever you want to call it, is the one doing the mitzvah. That animal soul, Nefesh Habamis, is also becoming one with Hashem. Why? Because at this moment, it's doing what Hashem wants it to do. By the way, that's not a contradiction that 5 minutes later it will do something wrong. One thing has nothing to do with the next. At the moment I did a mitzvah, I elevated the physical object. At that moment when I did the mitzvah, my body and the animal soul of the Jew becomes bound with the essence of Hashem. The difference is tzaddikim are called merkava because tzaddikim are bottled Hashem 24/7. 365 days a year for 120 years. So they are constantly on that level. We do a mitzvah, you don't do a mitzvah, get something else done. It's a different story. That's what makes, by the way, tzaddikim so holy and so great. Yes, they're a physical human being. They're in the body and the soul. But that body and the soul, the body is completely subservient to Hashem. Because right then they kill the Yetzer Hara, the body only lives from the godly soul. But in addition to that, their body is refined, that the body is connected to Hashem constantly. And therefore, by us, 1 minute we're connected, a few minutes later we might become disconnected, and connected and disconnected. So it's a yo-yo going up and down. Tzaddikim is 24/7, 365, 120 years. They are completely bound to Hashem constantly. Not only their soul, but the body is serving Hashem on their supreme level, and that body became very holy. It's a different realm completely. It's not something we can understand. Okay, now he says like this. The Gamba mitzvahs Talmud. Now he's saying, okay, this is all about action mitzvahs. How about verbal mitzvahs, the thoughtful mitzvahs? Says the Kam mitzvahs Talmud Torah v'Krishma Tefillah. The mitzvah of learning Torah, saying the Shema davening, even though they're not physical mitzvahs, right? If you're verbally, you're not dealing with an action. That they were also themselves klipas nega. Nevertheless, you're still elevating it. Why? Because thinking is not like speech halachically. If I have an obligation to daven and I read the words, I don't say them. Halachically, I did not daven. You must verbally say the words to fulfill the mitzvah of prayer. I mean, if you read a siddur and you don't say the words, you did some nice reading, but you did not fulfill the mitzvah of davening. Because davening has to be speech. Same thing with Tilim, same thing with all those things. You have to say it. And you're not yet to your obligation until you verbally say it. And kaimalon and verbal articulation is called action. And you're going to say why, but it's too late. We're going to finish here. But Alter Rebbe says even mitzvahs that are not action. So I'm not elevating the physical world. You still are, because verbal articulation is considered action. And he says because you still are using the animal soul and the physical body and all that. So it's still physical. Thought to a certain extent, but most mitzvahs you cannot fulfill with thought. Because it has to come down into a tangible level, because thought is very non-tangible. To be continued next week. The difference between thought and speech and action is. Anyway, everybody have a great Shabbos. Monday night, Amir Hashem, 8 o'clock. For Parsha. Until then, everybody have a great week, and we should only hear good news in Eretz Yisrael.